The roaches have.
You calling me a pervert means nothing. I've seen what you consider normal.
So, roaches have no king is a pretty awesome thing. It's exactly what it sounds like. It talks about these roaches, this society of roaches in this house that's owned by this Jewish guy who like sells drugs on the side or something, and they observe his social and private life with his girlfriend and do little commentaries on it from their places in the cupboards and in the walls and shit. It's very interesting.
How long is that?
I wouldn't
40 pages.
That's too long for that.
I wouldn't feel bad. I wouldn't feel bad if you killed a roach.
Okay. Well,
have you ever seen the movie Twilight of the Cockroaches?
No.
Is that really a thing?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it though.
It's a mixture, and it just reminded me of that movie.
Or Joe's apartment.
I petted a cockroach once.
I used to
stare at you.
You call me a pervert.
I didn't know I was petting a cockroach though. I thought it was like rubbing like a, you know how like a lot of couches have like a button, like they have like decorative buttons inset in them.
Man.
So
That sounds horrible.
So I was rubbing what I thought was a decorative button on a couch for a while, and I was talking to a buddy of mine at his house. We were just talking about whatever. And I looked down and I realized that I'd been rubbing a cockroach.
And then you
minutes.
jumped up on the couch, pulled up your skirt, and screamed at the top of your head.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I used to think that I had imagined Joe's apartment, that it wasn't even a real movie, that I just made it up in my head. Turns out it was real. Yeah.
Okay, how do you do that, and what does that mean?
What? How did I do what?
How do you imagine that something like?
No, wait a minute.
Exactly what you did.
Well, I thought
you're going to take me there. You're going to try to tell me some. Okay.
Well, I thought that tattooed teenage fighters from Beverly Hills was a fever dream for years.
I think it's possible to
look who it is.
Yeah.
Gregor, you got some competition. We got the Crusher of Cunts is here.
Oh, that's nice.
Show us.
Right here. He's right here.
Show us on the
We're
screen.
still looking at. Oh, there he is. Oh, nice.
What did that see?
Yeah, I had to jump in because it sounded like Gregor was jerking off a roach or something.
I was.
Yeah,
I wasn't doing that. I was just touching it. And
okay, so I'm going to steal for
yeah, that's kind of the same thing, though.
This isn't actually Cunt Crusher. It is The Wiz.
The Wiz.
The Wiz.
Like the ease on down the road Wiz, like a wizard?
No, it's The Wiz of Dick and the Wiz, the podcast.
Huh?
Dick and the Wiz.
Yes.
Okay.
Is
I'm
this
not familiar with that.
Or is this another alt?
What's up?
Well, hang on. Ann, is that really you, or is this one of Zach's alts? Okay, anyway. So, CC, I know that...
No, that wasn't me. I'm serious.
Okay. Well, I know that's the same voice that we were talking to last weekend. So, CC, you mind if I call you CC for a minute?
Yeah, you can.
So, you said something interesting last weekend. You said that you agreed with a lot of my original messages. Do you think that I have sold out in some way?
I think you've sold out.
I didn't ask you. I asked you.
No, I think you've just moved on to different topics. I mean, you can't rehash the same old shit over and over without getting redundant. So,
the new topic's lamer.
You'll be glad to know that one person who was in here last week at the same time you came in, I don't think he's coming back. And
Who is Neil?
Hang on, Jesus, one interloper at a time. So he said that he was going to take issue with anybody if he came back on the show who used the word faggot or said this about trannies or chicks with dicks or and I started to think, what if Cunt Crusher was right? What if he was trying to say that I have gone off, topic or compromised myself in order to make, peace with people who don't really give a shit about me anyway. And I don't mean that to say about Connor, but just that Connor was, if he was going to come back, it was going to be on his terms. I kind of got a feeling. And like I said, nothing personal, better to find out now. And I'm still cool with Connor, but I feel like it would have compromised the show if I had let him back on to kind of browbeat everybody for using words.
Well,
Let Neil on. He's in the
Where the fuck's Neil?
wanting to be on.
Okay, Neil's on me. Damn it, Zach.
That wasn't me. I'm serious.
What was that?
Right now.
Oh, was that a picture of a dog with a next to a guy's dick?
Neil is
No.
not me. I'm serious.
No, it wasn't. Anyway,
Go back to the thing. I want to see this. Yes, get it off.
It'll get kicked off YouTube.
Show the thing. Like I'm
so
curious.
anyway, what do you
We
think?
can't show a dick on here. We'll get kicked off.
Crusher, what?
I didn't even see
Crusher,
him.
Crusher has the floor. Hang on. Okay, go ahead.
okay.
Get it back to
Well,
the thing
first
where we can
off,
see each other
Shut up.
talking.
Shut the fuck up.
Get it off. Get
We
back
can
to
come
the-
out there and slap the dick out of your ass.
Go ahead. Crusher.
there's this comedian on YouTube, and I kind of take his approach with words. Like, I have nothing against transgender people, but you shouldn't be able to censor words. Like, I consider tranny a term of endearment. Like, grandma, you shorten it to granny, right? Andrew, you shorten it down to Andy. Ecuadorian, Mexican.
Shorten it down
So
to-
transgender, tranny. That's kind of his joke, and that's kind of like my take on it. It's just fucking words, and people shouldn't be so sensitive. You know, if I let every word that someone said towards me get to me, then I wouldn't be anywhere in life. And people just need to grow thicker skin. I get why some people get offended by stuff like that, but it's just fucking words. And let's be honest, they're fun to say sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my take on it. I don't hate anybody. You know, if
Right, and a lot
someone-
of people get offended on other people's behalf too, right? And like you said, I don't hate anybody, right? I mean,
No, it has nothing to do with that. And if you know, if like I've met transgender people, and you know, I've always been like as respectful as I can be. You know, I have my the only thing where I would say, like, I don't give a shit if they want to use a bathroom or whatever. The only time that I like say no, like put my heel down and just say fuck that, is when it comes to like kids. You know, just like wanting to transition children and stuff. Like, they should be mature enough to make their own
I hate how
decision.
they say that we have to accept their view on gender because I don't accept their view on gender.
Well, neither do I, but you know, I'm kind of libertarian on the, you know, where it's just like, as long as you're not fucking with me and, you know, treading on me.
I mean, I can
I don't-
see that, but it's like they're doing that culturally by like saying that you can't have that discussion, or else if you literally believe they don't exist, that makes
I believe in the binary.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's cultural Marxism, and no matter how much people want to deny it, cultural Marxism is a thing. So
No,
in our
it's not.
society,
There you
You're
go.
not a thing, Ben.
It makes things.
Cultural Marxism is just a rebranding of the Nazi term cultural Bolshevism.
Oh my god!
Hey, Ann.
No.
Yes, it is.
Land. And okay.
Get back
Hey,
to the
who's-
thing.
What was,
Who's
with
also-
Neil? What was with Neil showing a dick
Who
avatar?
is
Is he
Neil?
trying
I
to get
don't
us
know.
kicked off?
I don't know.
Who
I'll
is
let him
Neil?
come back too if he wants to, though, as long as I don't
Who-
show the avatar.
Who is Oscar Schindler?
He's
I've been-
Uncle Void in the chat said that you were the Oscar Schindler of fleas.
I was wondering who it was.
like Schindler's List.
Oh,
Yeah, I
think
actually
that's-
haven't seen that. Yeah.
the guy who snuck Jewish people out,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
Spielberg did an award-winning movie about it. And when people thanked him for saving all these Jewish people at the end of the movie, he cried and said, "I couldn't save enough," you know. And it was he was a real-life historical figure. So
Well, I do really feel bad for those fleas.
I don't feel bad for those fleas. Feel bad for my cats.
Feel bad for your what?
My cats. Feel bad for my
Oh,
cats. Feel
Yeah,
bad.
you
guess
got,
that's-
you got
I guess
15
that's fair.
cats.
yeah, I guess
feel
that's
bad
fair.
for Ben because he doesn't believe in cultural Marxism. It's evil.
You don't know what Marxism is. You're fucking
I've
retarded.
read Marx.
If you
I
actually read Marx, you wouldn't find the full fucking cultural Marxism thing.
so
Oh,
so
I have and I do.
seriously, like the
Well,
Communist
you're
Manifesto
retarded.
is like one of his most famous texts, and a lot of people would consider that text milquetoast now. Like Marxism is not that potent. Like when you actually read.
I mean, yeah, if you
The way
wanted
it
like
gets
a really
appropriate-
radical text, you'd like read something like, I don't know, the Revolutionary Catechism or something like that.
I don't know that
Yeah.
book, but I know what you mean.
Which-
Yeah, that would be the idea.
It's a pamphlet that was written by a Russian nihilist that advocated total terrorism.
Oh wow.
That
But
sounds
yeah.
familiar.
Yeah. I mentioned that though because like Marxism, I think whether we
Burning
like it
down
or not.
cities is not terror at all. Yeah.
Well, Oh, I was just saying that Marxism, it did influence the Western. It influenced Western civilization.
How?
You really want me to go into it? I didn't want to distract.
Well, I'm
Well,
interested.
duh, of course it did.
Are you saying that it
Yeah, that's why everything is burning down now.
I mean,
No,
I
I'm just saying-
Everything's burning down because the people who run the country suck.
No, I was
Yeah,
siding with
because
Ben.
the people who have a problem with the people running the country suck.
I was siding with Ben on the idea that there is difference
Burning
between
down
Marx.
businesses.
There's a
looting
difference
their
between
cars,
Marxist
these are
thought.
savages, man.
Well, all I was saying is
Oh
that
yeah, that's it.
there's
Yeah, hey, you really want to go down that route?
Yeah,
There's
I
a
do,
difference
man.
between-
People burning it down are fucking inhuman.
Yeah, no, they
Can-
just
wait,
run down
can
the
I
street
just
with
finish?
spears and phones through their noses,
Yeah, they're
screaming
fucking
"Ooga booga."
morons, man. Yeah, they're fucking
Okay,
morons.
okay. So all I was
Play
gonna
that
say.
main video I told you about, and you'll see. Why do you get away? I told you. Play
I'm
the
sorry,
video.
Phoenix, go ahead.
Play the video.
So, yeah, so no, I know what you mean. Like a frustration with Marx is completely understandable, but I just think that there's a difference between his texts and then how those texts get interpreted.
Now, I
So
believe
yeah,
there
I mean,
was-
you don't have to be a Marxist. Like, there's no reason why you would have to like Marx. But I think Marx
No,
gets
I profoundly
misappropriated.
disagree with Marx on a lot of things.
Like,
Yeah, well, there's a lot to disagree with.
what
I
do you
mean,
disagree with
So
me?
I think economic determinism is flawed because the idea that humans only produce labor or they only produce capital is really flawed. And actually, people have argued that the problem with economic determinism is that you get this notion that there's no other meaningful aspects to life, which is absurd. And people take it that far as the thing. Like when people are talking about, if you get like the certain like political movement of, and this is broad because I wouldn't know exactly what this would apply to, but that actually what I would say, let me scratch that. What I would say is that people reduce Marxism to saying that you have to completely overthrow capitalism. And that's not what Marx was saying. There's actually passages where Marx actually says that you need capitalism, but like people don't tap into that nuance.
Well, yeah,
So-
he actually believed that capitalism was a necessary transition between, socialism and eventually communism.
Yeah, and it's reasonable to say that communism is horrible. Like it's not. The only thing that I would say is that I think there's a difference even between Marxism and communism because communism became something else when it evolved.
Well,
And
communism,
and-
the idea of communism was around long before Marx.
oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
the thing that I would say is just that it is fair that, like with Marx, like I think delving into the text, even if you don't agree or like it, is still illuminating because you can see how his ideas and the way that those ideas become political has influenced Western society. So there's no writing or there's no like contract where like you have to like Marx. But I think for me, I think that he gets
And what-
misappropriated, and I think that's the problem. Sorry, Ben, you
No,
were
it's
wanting to
just,
say.
I was
yeah.
just I think it's annoying people throw around the whole cultural Marxism thing. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
meaningless term.
Well, Jordan Peterson did that all the time, and it bugged me because it was like you could have an actual discussion. It wasn't until he
yeah,
was
I mean,
talking with Zizek that he started to,
exactly.
that he realized
Zizek
that
showed that he didn't have a single fucking clue what he was talking about.
basically, yeah,
Who
it was
didn't?
bad.
What,
Jordan
Zizek
Peterson.
didn't know what he was talking about?
No,
Zizek-
Peterson showed that Zizek showed Peterson that he didn't have a single fucking clue what he was talking
Peterson is the most inoffensive dude walking the planet Earth. Anybody who has a problem with Peterson,
about. It's not that he's inoffensive; it's just he's a complete pseudo.
anybody who's got a problem with Peterson has got a major chip on their shoulder, and they're looking to bully somebody.
Like I said, it's not that he's quote unquote problematic or evil or whatever. It's just he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And his debate with Zizek proved that.
That's
Well,
why
I think he does. I think he does have more of a background in.
in contests anyway, though.
I think that he-
Debates are never going to sway anyone one way or the other. They're just going to look at how to
It
do
would
it
in this
next
case
time.
because Peterson looked like a complete fucking fool.
Now, the thing about all Marxism, though, it's always got to be inherently anti-religion, built on making this kind of like view of humanity as a commune a type of religion where there's always a hierarchy. There are always going to be people at the top, and every time we go down that path, there's like always a massive death toll. I mean, it's the normie thing to say, but it's
There's
true.
going to be a
hundreds of millions.
hierarchy either way.
Yeah, either way, but it's like in this way, it's you're putting all the freaking power with them, and then that's like when the serious hell starts.
The idea is, if I
I
understand
mean,
right,
granted, you can point to a lot of regimes that have done that, but I can also point to the Rojava or the Zaptistas that did not fall into that.
Yeah, but those weren't like big countries full of hundreds of millions of people.
Because they're not supposed to be.
I mean,
but
so I
can't
heard-
guess.
I
Well,
heard.
hey, guys, I do want to stress. Think of how exciting the conversation was about a half an hour ago, and look at where we're starting to go. And are you sure? I mean, you can pursue it if you want, but do you want to have a laid back show where you just,
Get it back to the thing where we can see each other.
We don't have to go down this route. I was just curious.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought it was
This is
interesting.
what-
I
this is
actually
how friendships end, and I would hate for that to happen. I'm not,
no. I'm not offended. I'm not
Okay.
offended. Yeah, I'm not offended at all.
but it's obviously a volatile time right now, and
Well, it's
everybody puts all their cards on the table as far as belief goes. It can make for lively entertainment for listeners, but not necessarily for the people participating. And I'm just saying, whichever way you guys want to go, I'll play it whichever way you want. But
Is Gregor in the show?
yes, Gregor's still here. He just
well, we went off the deep end, so
he's
Okay, well, if we want to change the subject,
well, I mean, it's whatever you guys want to do.
I was coming to Ben's defense. I think that's when it went south.
Well, since I started it, kind of in a way, by bringing it up, I'll say, as the olive branch, I'll just say it's not. I wouldn't call it necessarily cultural Marxism. We'll just say authoritarian
Cultural
toddlers
Satanism.
that try to control others' actions and
neoliberal
behavior.
identitarianism.
What's up?
Neoliberal identitarianism.
Don't use
I
big
don't
words.
feel Marxist.
That's a good olive branch. He's obliging the olive branch. Basically, is what he's saying. I mean, Ben is
I don't know if
anti-cancel
Jeremy
culture.
with a mustache.
At the very least, Ben, you're anti-cancel culture. We've established that. You've taken some hits for this being on this show. So I mean, there's no question you're anti-cancel culture.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
So, and we still can't hear you, as far as I know.
Bring it up on the thing
But,
where we can see people.
But I guess if we want to change the subject, I did watch the Angry Video Game Nerd movie this week.
I'm sorry. What did you think?
Meh. It's
Yeah.
like I didn't hate it, but I'm glad I watched it for free.
Wait, what
What happened
movie?
to that guy? The angry
Yeah.
video game nerd.
Oh yeah, that
I mean,
movie.
I've been watching him since he was still the angry Nintendo nerd, so I was watching him for a while.
Yeah.
I just never got around to watching the movie until I did this week, and yeah, it's
Is it just me, or was he always very bad at video games? The things that he would get frustrated over were things that were often very avoidable, except with Battletoads. That game is impossible.
I don't know. It depends. Like I don't know, his very first one, Simon's Quest, that was intentionally like nitpicky.
Did y'all ever play the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or not that
Ferrari?
one, the Friday the 13th game?
Yeah,
Did y'all ever
it's-
beat it? I couldn't beat it.
I know that game is fucking hard.
Yeah, I know.
And
So a game that I like that is also hard
Dan
is
seems to be having some trouble with the audio. Anybody have any ideas for her? She usually doesn't have trouble with this, but for whatever reason,
She might just have to do the phone thing. Like she mentioned that in her text.
she's tried restarting the phone, looking at sound
Whatever.
settings, switching
Is that-
headsets, different browser. Everything.
Zach, what is that thing you're holding? And please tell me your dick is not inside it.
It's just a
Yeah, I was
thing
gonna ask the same
found.
thing.
Why is it wearing a Redskins hat?
What? I've never seen this before.
Is that a Franklin the Turtle?
That's my new friend.
Witch.
Yeah, it's a witch.
Thou shalt not suffer a witch to
Oh.
live, Mr. Choir Boy.
It's freaking dead already.
Yeah, you killed her and stuffed her, and now
Oh, okay. Well, that's
and now
okay.
you and then you poked a hole between her legs, and now you.
Okay, well, that's okay then. As long as it's not alive.
I've also got this one.
Throw it in the water, see if it floats. That's how we'll know if it's a witch.
It's dead, so it would sink.
Oh,
I was hoping Ken would be in here soon so he could
Hey,
talk
yeah,
about the kill stream.
Ken got mentioned on the kill stream. How about that?
What's the
He
kill
was in the
stream?
kill stream.
It's a stream run by a fat fucking retard.
It's
Oh,
like the
really?
most alt-right of the alt-right.
That's
Well,
not this.
the
That's not
most.
called the Quiet Place.
Ethan Ralph's not smart enough to even be
It's not-
alt right.
It's not called the Quiet Place.
So what is the deal with it? What is it?
Okay, Ken went on there
It's
to
a-
talk with Ethan Ralph and Andy Worski, who are like
Borski's on it now.
he was that time, yeah. Ken Amy, who has been a guest on this show
Yeah, I
occasionally.
know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And he's
Went
my
on-
co-host for Indie Rock Dinosaur, which I will shield now.
Did Ethan Ralph get drunk and scream at Ken for being a Jew?
No.
I'm trying to find the audio. I had it saved
So
Did he end up screaming the N-word at
So
Ken?
why did he go on this program?
to talk about
Good
like,
fucking question.
culture and spirituality of the cult conservative variety. And hang on, I'm gonna find the mention here somewhere.
I'm just trying. I'm just trying to imagine like Ethan Ralph and Andy Worski talking about that shit and taking it seriously. And I just
Yeah, I
can't do
know.
it.
Yeah, I get you. Hang on, let me go find the audio and I'll play it.
So these guys are what? It's as you say, it's an alt-right like podcast. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I was first introduced to him with the what was it?
They were the internet
Striker
blood sport
versus
guys.
who-
I've heard
who
alt
was
right podcasts before. By the way, Killstream is a lot more like
Well,
laid
but-
back than that. It's really
Yeah, it's more
They're
laid
more
back,
like
but they
they're more
have
like the
alt-right
4chan
people
shit
on.
toasty types.
yeah. Okay, that's
Okay, so they're not really like.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
not super political, but they'll still talk about how Jews run the world and how we need to gas them and how transgender people are evil freaks who need to be put down and all that shit.
They say stuff like that, like
And then they end it with.
I mean,
"Mine."
they'll say they're joking. No, I'm
And then
half
they'll
joking.
punctuate it. Then they punctuate it with "in Minecraft." Keep it in perspective. Huh?
okay, yeah. But are they funny?
Yeah,
I think so.
Well,
I
they're more
think-
fun. They're more funny to laugh at because Ethan Ralph is a fat alcoholic.
Here's the thing.
You're a fat alcoholic.
Here's the thing.
Well, yeah, but at least I'm not a Nazi.
Ethan Ralph has recently come into some like online drama. He's got some detractors that are just like irrationally stalking his every move, kind of
yeah,
like
and he's banned from California, right?
yeah, okay. But here's the thing. It does seem like he did kind of groom.
He's cheeseburgers out of the trash.
He what?
He's cheeseburgers out of the trash.
That was bullshit. No, hang on. I'm getting to the point here. What happened was he actually hooked up with this freshly 18-year-old girl
Oh fuck!
and flew her out to meet him. And now it's like her parents didn't even know she was gone, and now he's like shacked up with her, and she's gonna have his kid. That to me seems pretty sneaky. But as far as entertainment value, the guy's
Oh,
entertainment.
I heard about that. He posted a video of him fucking her on Pornhub.
Did he?
Yes, and half of it is just this giant fucking gut wiggling.
Okay, and that's another thing is that they call this giant gut that almost looks like a swollen vagina. I guess they call it a gunt.
Yes.
Now, hang on.
So
That's
that
why the
sounds
only
kind
way-
of like a show that Ken would like to be on. It's kind of
Yeah, it's like you invite me to come on Indie Rock Dinosaur. It's like you need to keep it clean while you're on there. Because Ken wants to keep it clean. And then he
I'm
comes on
sorry,
us
I
and he
didn't
goes
think
on
you
a
were
fucking
fat
kill
alcoholic
stream.
then. That was wrong with me.
But I am a fat alcoholic. I am working to lose weight though. Whereas Ethan Ralph will always be fat, always be an alcoholic, and always be a fucking Nazi.
yeah. It's weird that he would go on that show. Yeah, it seems strange.
Well, here's
Probably
the
because
thing.
it gets a good amount of
Do
attention.
you have the
You're
video, Jeremy?
using Nazi in the same way that some cringe lord like Garrett Cook or Bradley Sands would use the word Nazi. He's not literally a Nazi where he's dressing up as Adolf Hitler and like doing the Roman salute or any shit. It's
I'm
just
like half kidding when I call him a Nazi, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he basically he's like he's not really smart enough to like fully buy into it, but he's just like the he's just like a fat dumbass who goes along with what people say, and it's about pole tards who come on. So
okay. So here's the reason I'm playing this, because
Pole tard
and-
as in POL tards. Is that what you're getting at? Is that what
Yeah.
you mean? Okay.
okay,
People of
yeah.
Lithuania.
The reason I'm playing this is because he mentioned Zach at the tail end of the interview, and I thought it was a small victory for Zach, to have his name put out there to a pretty sizable audience. Who
I think that seems more embarrassing.
No, it's not. Not if you're a conservative. Not if you're a conservative, and that's
It would be. I would still be embarrassing.
it's really not. I would be more
Because if
embarrassed.
Ethan Ralph is like the face of conservative, well, yeah, it makes sense.
He's
given
not.
that
He's
Trump's
not.
the president.
He's not. But I'm not going to steal Zach's thunder and shortchange him. It is a big deal. He got his name out there in front of a large audience, larger than our audience, right? At least right now. So I would be much more embarrassed in the company of BLM or Antifa than I would Killstream or Warski. So, but here's Ken Ami. We've been pronouncing it wrong. Mentioning Zach for what it's worth. Let the guy have his moment.
I have a moment.
Then the
Hang on, let me turn it up.
and author Zach Magaha just recently asked me to co-host a show with him that's called Indie Rock Dinosaur. So we've been having a fun time doing that.
Very good, sir. Thank you for coming on
Thank
the
you so
show.
much.
Thank you, Matt. You have a good one.
Thank you.
So what was the whole conversation like? I've not listened to it.
I don't know. I didn't listen to it either.
I'm not going to fucking listen to it.
But what I gathered at the tail end was that they were talking about how to make sure that conservative kids or kids in conservative households still have a chance at succeeding in society, despite all the bullshit going on right now.
Step one, don't be Ethan Ralph. Step two, don't be Andy Warski.
I mean, that's not entirely bad advice, honestly. I mean, I'm not trying to placate Ben here, but they really did get into some major shit. Like Warski actually told.
I first heard about Ethan Ralph when he got drunk and took a swing at a cop, which is it's a good thing, something I endorse. But he did it because he's a fat idiot.
Normally, you would be okay with that, yeah. But
No, I endorse him. Taking a swing at cops, but the only reason he did it is because he's a fat idiot.
But Warski did even worse because he told the guy to point his gun.
That was fucking hilarious. Stay back! We will defend ourselves! That was fucking hilarious. that stupid cokehead.
Yeah, I don't know if I could play that on here or not. I'm still recovering.
I'm pretty sure it's still on YouTube.
So Cunt Crusher. I haven't had a chance to hear you in a minute. You want to make this a regular gig or a semi-regular thing?
Yeah, I mean, I could pop in here and there. I'm on a different timeline than most of you guys, Pacific, but then work. But I could probably pop in here and there every
Who
once in a
gave you
while.
the link last week? Because no one's fessing up to it, and I'm fine with it. But who gave you the link, or how did you find it?
Oh, it was Ben.
I thought so. So Ben, you're friends with Ben then, right?
It wasn't Ben, it
absolutely.
was me.
Oh, okay. There we go. I told you.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'm actually friends with him. It started off awkward because he walked in on me fucking his mom, but after that we were cool.
So are you actually friends with someone, one of these guys already, or an acquaintance? What?
Well,
There's Mr. No.
I guess I kind of
my God.
interacted with all of you at one point.
You what?
I've interacted with all of you at one point. Like Gregor and I have had extensive conversations in the past, and then
Okay, wait. Are you Doug Gelsleichter?
What?
Are you Doug Gelsleichter? Is that your name?
No.
Are you
Yeah,
Bradley?
he doesn't
think
want to.
he
He
wants
doesn't
to-
want to reveal who he is.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Right? I mean, right, CC.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really give a shit if if people figure it out. super hard, but I mean, I might as well make it more interesting.
Is that who you are?
That is not Brad. This is not Bradley Sands. This guy's too cool for Bradley.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know offline, I guess, if you want to hit me up, because it is interesting that you say we've had extensive conversations in the past, and I don't recall, I mean, at least the voice, but it doesn't mean we
Well,
talked to.
we've just messaged online. It's been the same thing with all of you guys. Like at one point or another, I've messaged you guys online.
Okay, I know who he really is. He is
okay.
The Wiz from his new streaming show, Dick and the Wiz.
Is that
Okay,
your
I think I might know then. What?
So you're
Yeah,
a
you-
podcaster or something?
Well, another friend and I are kind of trying to get something going. Just kind of, we've been talking for like a year, and he's just a really cool dude. He kind of got me to get out of my shell, and I don't know, like my history with writing is I just always struggled to get anything out, and just worrying about perfection and whether my prose was tight. And I met this dude who is politically incorrect. He puts stories out like super fast, and he doesn't really care whether there's grammatical errors or anything like that. And we've just been talking over the last year, pretty much every day, and we got into a challenge where we were writing a story every week and publishing and creating covers every week, and just no matter how bad it was, just publishing on Amazon. And so just kind of get us talking, because he's a very private person. I was like, hey man, you want to do this podcast thing? It's a way to kind of just get to know each other a little bit better. And I think we've got kind of the same sense of humor. So that's pretty much what it is. It's just two guys bullshitting that
Hey, Gregor, I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, I see the show here you're talking about. I'll give it a listen sometime. Cool.
yeah, our internet connection was pretty spotty during the first part, so we're trying to figure that out. I think it's his
Yeah,
internet.
we know what that's like, don't we?
Yeah. So, and with the first, we did an episode before, but I forgot to hit go live, so it didn't record, and so we just kind of went into, a redo this last week, and it was kind of awkward for the first part. I think it's just like anything, it takes some time to really get into that motion. So we're hoping to hit our stride here soon, and
Cool. What do you guys talk about on there? Just
pretty much bullshit. We want to stay away from writing because we both have kind of a distaste for the writing community.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll say this because I think when I spoke about the writing communities in general the last time I was on, I think I came off a little bit more harsh than I intended to, because I was kind of in a rush, tired, and going to my job. There's a lot of, like, with the Bizarro community, there's a lot of good people in it. But there's also a lot of fucking just cunts, just straight up cunts, and so we both just have kind of a distaste. We don't really give a fuck about the writing community. I just interact with a couple writers, and I really don't care about a writing career. It's just about creating the art for me. So I've got all my shitty stories up there. No, they're not going to be really redrafted. Some of them will be, but the writing is what it is within a week. So
I'm just
I don't really.
wondering if I would have read you at any point. Do you say you have published something, or?
I've published in some small presses, like really, really small, like not even worth mentioning presses, under different names, but nothing like super impressive or anything like that. But I kind of fell into like I don't know what to write, because I started off with like extreme horror, and then I realized, this isn't me. I don't want to write this shit. Like, it's not fun. And so I've just kind of gotten into kind of like just dumbass satire, basically.
By the way, Mike knows here too. Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's up, man?
Author of Legacy, and what was that other? Were you the one that said that Thief of Always was your favorite Clive Barker story?
No, wasn't me.
I cannot figure out who said that on here. Somebody
No.
said that Thief of Always was their favorite, and
Really?
poor Ann is still having trouble. Hopefully she gets that figured out, or somebody can help her out with that. I'm lucky I can get my own self hurt on here, but somebody said Thief of Always was their favorite, and that's an odd choice for a Clive Barker story to me. But
Yeah.
out of all
He
of them, but somebody
It's good.
Is it?
But-
I am.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah.
but not the best.
No.
Wow, we got a full house here. I was wondering who does everybody choose as like the most horrible serial killer? Because I had this discussion at work today when I should have been doing.
What do you mean, as in ineffective or
As in
horrifying?
Well, I don't want to make it like, oh, this guy had a 100% kill rate, or like we're talking about baseball cards. But I'm just saying, who does everyone like cringe at the thought of? Who was the meanest bastard of them all? You know, and to me, I guess I would kind of say Bundy at this point. If we're talking
Why?
about, I'm sorry, Mr. Geen, I didn't mean to exclude you. Anyway,
Why Bundy? Didn't he just shoot people?
no, God,
No, that was the son of Sam.
here's the
Oh,
thing.
okay.
To this day, one of the women that he assaulted in a college dorm room, she has permanent vertigo in a rest home because of what he did to her. Like,
Now, permanent vertigo, that's terrifying. Yeah.
that's what I mean. And he did that single-handedly with like a hatchet or a hammer or something when she was asleep.
Wow.
Wow.
See what I mean?
Yeah, I read that book that who was it? It was, I think Zach recommended. It was just like this huge book just about serial killers. Is like talking about this most awful crimes. What was that thing called? Like you know what I'm talking about, Zach? You were giving away free downloads because this guy had been killed. Whoever wrote the book or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Was it Programmed to Kill?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I think
okay.
that's it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what was the guy's name?
Who wrote it?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Zach might know, or I don't remember who it was. It was Programmed to Kill, though. Some guy that was like, you know, a conspiracy theory type writer, or whatever,
Yeah,
that
he also
ultimately got
wrote
killed.
He also wrote one about programming of like rock star kids in Beverly Hills or some shit. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this book was just, you know,
David
a collection of just all of these horrible serial killer stories.
Yeah,
But then he
I
tied them all
totally
together by
agree.
saying that they likely were all part of a you know, larger underground movements of, you know, either intelligence operatives or being driven by say, you know, mind control victims or mafia or secret government agencies or satanic cults or whatever. The general theory was that like a lot of these serial killers were not lone wolves, and then he was trying to basically make a case that hardly any of the major serial killers that we know and love were, you know, none of them were lone wolves. They all had a support system behind them or a control system behind them.
CIA
Yeah, no, I mean, he pretty
training.
he had a lot of good evidence, especially the ones where they were able to like get away and they had like cars and stuff, and then like all the ways Dahmer like got away with so much crap.
Zach, you're
Well, yeah,
Ed
yeah.
Gein? You're Ed Gein, Zach.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think he makes a good
Audio,
case, you know. I mean, I didn't go to first sources to check everything he was saying, but I mean, he made a good. It was convincing, yeah. So I can't pick who's the most horrible, because that book, like, it just had everything in it, and it was just a list of the most horrible things that people can do to each other nonstop throughout the entirety of the book. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was depressing, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was
Yeah, but I mean,
something.
to be honest though, it did convince me, especially the stuff about, you know, the serial killer as we think of it in pop culture being a thing that was literally invented, like a straw man created in a think tank, when the reality is there's some sort of like okay, so people obviously kill people, but this is like a cultural idea that's like worked, and you know,
Right. He makes a
Cultural
convincing argument. Yeah, for sure. Right. I mean, and I would imagine that at least in some cases there are support systems or control systems behind some of these guys. Right.
yeah, not just that, but then also the idea that we have this idea of this serial killer that's like a lone wolf that can't really help themselves. And it's
Right.
kind of made everyone paranoid, and everyone thinks that like there's a serial killer like next door all the time.
Right. Yeah, I
And
mean, it was specifically in like the '80s. That was a big thing, right? I mean, a big cultural phenomenon in the '80s.
Yeah, and then plus they kind of chalk it up to mental health as opposed to some sort of spiritual decay.
What was the McDonald triad that they used to latch on to, but not so much anymore? First is torturing animals. Second is bedwetting, and there was one more sign.
Having a farm.
Intelligence. Having
think
a
it was-
farm.
Oh, I think it was not wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
Fire
Did it
setting,
handle
bedwetting.
Torturing fleas.
No, what is the
Masturbating,
McDonald triad? Triad? Not heard of that. What is that? McDonald triad.
Okay.
There was a goat. There was a
No, shut up.
The goat
Fire
went down.
setting, fire setting,
cow went
bedwetting.
moo.
Hey, shut up. Fire
The cow
setting.
went freaking moo, dang it.
Cocksucker, fucking shut up. The McDonald triad is Big Mac fries and a Coke. No, it's bedwetting, fire setting, and torturing animals.
And
There's
that's
more on
what
that
some.
list, wasn't there?
This
What's
means that you were created without you were born without empathy, that you're somehow not hardwired to experience empathy and understand.
So it means you're born a psychopath, like a natural born psychopath.
To me, somehow that seems like that seems like bullshit to me. We're now going to absolve even murderers from personal choice.
It sounds like you maybe have 2 of the 3 of those or something like that, and that's why you're protesting.
Protesting.
Probably.
Protesting,
I don't-
protesting.
wet the bed. I don't
Not that
torture
we know
animals.
of.
I don't
No, but
torture
we're
animals.
talking about these are
Fleas.
childhood things
No, but
that
police
they're
aren't
making up.
animals.
But when you were a kid,
They're
did
barely
you
even
do
alive.
when you were a kid? Did you do these things?
No, I only did it when I had a reason because they fucked over my cats.
Okay.
You don't know how bad they are this year.
So
man.
you only wet the bed when somebody messed with your cats.
No, I didn't do that. I never did that.
That makes
Never
sense, yeah.
Did that. Never did that.
You mess with my pussy, I piss the bed. Nobody touches my pussy but me.
So
Motherfucker was saying, "Oh no, it's not piss, it's squirt." No, bitch, you peed on me. And motherfuckers argue is like, if is piss squirt or is it something else? And I say, what's it matter? It's hot either way.
Oh God! Don't say that.
So when you were a kid, you didn't do any of these things, Jeremy.
I definitely didn't torture animals as a kid. No, absolutely.
Right, and I think
I mean,
that
I may have fried a bug or two with a magnifying glass. Didn't anybody do that? Tell me everybody else did that too. Come on.
Oh yeah, of course, you have to.
yeah, I mean, I think that if when you graduate up to mammals, that's when it's really a
No,
thing,
no.
you know.
Yeah.
I would
Okay,
never
what
do
about this? I was at Myrtle Beach one time with my friend, and there was this kid on the boardwalk, and he's real weird looking. And for some reason, we just started watching him. And then he picked up this lizard and ripped its tail off, and then
Aw.
looked up to us like he wanted us to take it or something. It's real freaky.
And he was trying
Yeah.
to see if the tail grew
Sociopath.
back.
He was trying to relate to you.
Yeah. Oh, he knew you were a lizard person in disguise, so he just wanted to give you a warning.
What is the big? Who is the big all-star hitter on everybody? team?
Jeremy, that reminds me. Before we forget, have you been to the True Crime Museum in Pigeon Forge, where they have one of Gacy's clown outfits, like the actual one, and they actually have Ed Gein's tooth, because he apparently mailed a tooth to one of his relatives, like when it fell out or something, like because he's a weirdo.
Was it
They have-
yellow?
Yeah, it was pretty gross looking.
Wow.
No, I'm not making that up though. That's serious. They have that at the museum in Pigeon Forge. It's called the Alcatraz True Crime Museum.
No, I maybe I'll get out there again sometime. God, I love Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. Yeah,
I was there just today.
great vacation towns. But oh,
So Ben, don't you have a bachelor's in psychiatry or psychology rather?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath? I thought a psychopath was born and a sociopath was made, but it seems like some people say it's the opposite of that.
I think that's generally how people use it, but I think for the most part it's pretty interchangeable.
Okay.
I think someone with a degree could give us a better answer than that.
Well, that's only a bachelor's. That's a fucking useless in the field of psychology.
Well, I want to know who everybody's like, killer is. Like who they.
I don't have a favorite. I mean, like
You're
there's
not a favorite, but just like, hey, I recognize that guy more than the others.
Well, I mean, Gacy, I guess, is one that really is kind of like a personal kind of a connection, right? Because when I was a kid, I lived in the Chicagoland area when he was,
Did he rape you?
What's that?
Did he rape you?
Did he rape me? No, he didn't. But
the way you said that, no, had this kind of
it could be, right? Because let me tell you the story. So it's possible he did. I don't know. I mean, you never know. So
you got raped by a clown.
So when I was a kid, I used to collect clown things, right? I used to have like 6 or 7 years old, right? I had clowns plastered all over my room, on my walls, collected all kinds of clown stuff, like, posters of clowns, coloring book, torn out pages of clowns, all kinds of stuff from magazines and whatever. And then I went to see a circus, and a clown approached me, and I was just absolutely terrified. Right. And I was, crying and screaming and clinging on my mom or whatnot. And then when I got home, I ripped every clown thing off my walls. It was like a 5-year-old Citizen Kane going through and ripping the hell out of his, his place or whatever. It was just nuts. So maybe that was, Ben, like maybe I was ripping down the clown stuff, not because of a, false memory of going to the circus. Maybe it was just having been raped by John Wayne Gacy. I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, but Gacy was in the area, right? My geographical area at the time, right? I mean, I was a kid seeing news about John Wayne Gacy, when I was very young, and that was, that type of news in and of itself was pretty frightening, right? So I don't know if the clown news about him, maybe influenced my ripping down the clown stuff, or was it genuinely just the, the circus experience? I don't know. But I doubt it was being raped by him. But I think he went for older people, anyways, right? I mean, he went for like teenage.
He went
boys,
for teenagers,
right?
yeah,
Younger.
Teenage boys, and I was like 8 or something, and he was in his heyday. So I don't think I was his type.
Mike,
you're Jeremy's type.
Mike, which killer would
now I am?
Would you be in a foxhole with?
Oh wow, there's like so many. I mean, Kemper is like probably in my top 5.
Who's that?
Ed Kemper.
What's his shtick?
Yeah.
He was just like one of those dudes that just like blended in with everybody. He killed his grandmother. I think he like severed her head and put it on top of his television for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like cut her vocal cords out and like tried to dispose of them in the garbage disposal, but they got stuck or something. But the dude is just like the most friendly guy you'd ever want to meet. And he was just fucking brutal.
Huh.
Yeah, Kemper. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, he doesn't look like the type that would be, murderer, but
yeah, even in prison, he's like, he does. What's weird though is like, for a while in prison, he was actually doing audiobooks.
Oh yeah, that's the guy that they had the TV series, the Netflix series about, right? Yeah.
What kind of audiobooks did he do? Did you say he did audiobooks?
Yeah, he did all kinds of audiobooks, right? It was just, for just popular fiction.
Yeah, whatever he was. Yeah.
They didn't pay him for it, did they? Did he just do it for fun or what?
I think he did get paid for it.
I'm not 100% sure.
They just put it on his commissary. Okay.
Yeah, but even before the Netflix show, I had as a kid, being a horror fan, I would like read about serial killers, and he was one of the ones that stuck out. I'm like,
well, he's a tall guy. Look how tall he is. Damn.
Oh, he's
fucking
a giant.
dude.
But for some reason, I think even more than Bundy or Gacy or Dahmer, I think the one case that freaked me out more than any other, it was Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. because she basically like gave her chloroformed sister to Paul, her husband, as a Christmas gift. Let him rape her while she was out on halothane and like liquid Valium or something, along with vodka, and she died that night. And no one thought anything of the burn on her face. They chalked it up to, have her dying from excessive alcohol or something. They didn't think anything of the burn on her face from the chloroform going wrong or something. And I mean, it got worse and worse with those two, to the point where they were just as bad as each other. And I mean, if you look through the transcripts of what's on the videotapes they made of it, I mean, that's why I don't believe this shit about, there's no such thing as snuff films. No, maybe not people that are willing to die for the art of a snuff film willingly, but there are plenty of tapes of people being murdered on, film, whether by accident or by, the will.
Well, I mean, a snuff film is in the sense of a commercially created one, like one created for profit.
Bullshitting around with the definition, though. I don't think it matters that much. To me, a snuff film is anything with a real legitimate death on screen. I mean,
well, yeah, if that's the case, there's a ton of them.
Yeah, that's what
I would imagine that there are some though that were, made for a profit or whatever, you know what I mean? Like they actually planned it out, a premeditated murder of a particular actor, on screen. I would imagine that exists. It's not as common as other types of snuff films, but I don't think there's probably any or hardly any at all where somebody is like volunteered to be the guy that gets killed in the snuff film.
Who would ever do that? See, that's the thing. That's why they kind of move the goalposts back on what the idea of a snuff film is, when I think there's more than enough, evidence to qualify anything where someone is dying on film. Like, for instance, that footage of the helicopter crash on set of Twilight Zone the movie, I would consider that a snuff film just because it was captured on film. But I know a lot of people want to get technical.
I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I think you got to see the actual body, though, right? I mean,
there's nothing left to see. You see the propeller cut them apart, but
you do
for a split second.
There's actually a pretty good creepypasta about snuff films. You want me to read it? It's not very long.
Oh,
sure.
So, okay, it's just called snuff film. You ever seen someone die on camera? A snuff film is a recording of the actual murder of a human being that is subsequently passed around for entertainment purposes. Suicides and accidents don't count. According to the... Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. According to the MPAA, the FCC, the FBI, and the ever-loving Snopes.com, there is no such thing as a snuff film. Yes, this includes Faces of Death. Anything you think might count as faked, falsified, or not made for that purpose, such as those tasteless videos you find on shock sites, this is a lie. There are, as best as anyone can tell, between 30 to 40 snuff films floating around out there. The earliest is a silent film on decaying nitrate celluloid, simply titled La Mort d'un Filet, and bears the date of 1896. The latest, judging by the hairstyles and the presence of a Frankie Says Relax t-shirt, was probably made in 1983 or 1984 and is on Betamax. The films vary in violence, but they all include seemingly ritualized sex, followed by the slaying of a girl with dirty blonde hair and piercing blue eyes who appears to be around 19 years old. Every film has the exact same girl in it.
It's a nice little creepypasta.
Yeah,
I
think that's pretty good.
Definitely, it was good.
There's actually a whole subgenre of creepypastas based around the idea of snuff films, where people get computer files mailed to them, like Smile Dog or something, and it had
those really bad, like Lost episode ones.
Yeah, Dead Bart. I always like Dead Bart, even though they're totally fake. But
well, it's that they're fake. It's just that they're badly written.
Yeah. Wow, Phoenix, are you still here?
I am. I just got back. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I was listening while.
Hope they were a good lay, whoever it was.
I was wondering how we got on the subject, honestly.
Right. Well, I don't really know. Other maybe the purple cow girl or
We were talking about
It was because the
hamburgers, and now we're
purple cow.
talking about
yeah.
We were talking about hamburgers, and now we're talking about
Yeah.
people getting murdered on camera.
But I was a little bit confused. So there's no actual snuff film that exists. Is that what you were saying?
That's a
I mean,
popular thing to hear people say, right? Which
Okay.
is
like, there's no
weird.
proof that commercially that one's created for commercial reasons exist, but there's plenty of videos of people
Well,
being murdered on
yeah.
camera.
Well, this is a little bit different on that, but I worry about some of the dark zones on YouTube because you can just get random recommendations to watch someone die in a car crash or something. Like it's not always good.
You noticed how
Yeah,
many
they don't stay
deaths-
up on YouTube for very long. But
Have you noticed
Oh,
how
really?
many deaths? Have you noticed how many deaths are show up on Facebook Live
Oh, really?
all the time?
That's-
Yeah,
yeah,
Wow.
I've seen 2 live suicides on like Live
Jeez.
Link, and they came
Yeah.
originally from Facebook Live, and yeah, they're horrible to watch. Like
Yeah.
one of them, the
Yeah.
guy was trying to call his girlfriend, and she hung up on him twice. He says, "This is how you're going to be." Okay, guys, I guess that's fucking it. He takes a shotgun and does it right there with his cat running towards the sound to investigate, and blood
You
dripping
saw
down.
that?
I
You
Yeah.
saw that?
yeah, I saw.
Were you
I-
irrevocably traumatized?
I mean, I'm not
Uh.
happy about it, but I mean,
I used to like go on shock sites all the time, so that kind of thing doesn't affect me as much. But I do recall one that disturbed me. It was like a 4chaner who, I think they committed suicide on Justin TV, which is Twitch TV, before it switched the name. It's just like he just blows his brain out when the shotgun falls out of frame, and then with the camera still rolling, eventually his mom comes in and finds him.
oh god,
Dang.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
and I did, and the Christchurch shooting happened on Facebook Live, and I've seen the video of that, and it's pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
and then he runs over. Not only did he shoot someone in the street, but then he runs over them with the car on his way out. Horrible.
This is
Yeah.
actually the reason why I stopped liking horror. I know there's a difference. We established that. But it's
Yeah.
I thought that that's what it was.
Okay.
And I'm glad it's not. But
There was another one that I saw of this guy. I think he was Russian, and he had a shotgun held at his head, and it's like his arms. He had to stretch his arms so far to hold it at the angle at which he was at his head, but he pulled the trigger back, and his head became like a frog, where the eyes were above the forehead. It was horrible to watch. It's like you wanted to make special effects. It was so jarring and weird to look, and it's like he almost looked like he was deflating like a balloon, but it was his body, I don't know, tensing up. Horrible.
yeah.
Yeah, I recall one that I
I'm
saw.
I'm not saying to go search this. Check.
No, I'm definitely
No,
not.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I don't-
going to. I don't.
yeah.
I don't partake.
I'm with
No, I
I'm with
had my
Gregor.
fill of those. Like the
What's that?
Christ shooting video was the last one I saw, and I don't really need to seek out that kind of stuff anymore.
I don't feel like most people would anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
too
did
bad
recall,
that it would be that common on Facebook Live. That's insane.
That I have heard.
I don't think that's hard to believe at all. In
If
fact,
I have
Well,
not
I guess that's
seen,
fair.
Yeah,
even though I haven't seen them all, I have heard of at least 5 instances of someone dying on Facebook Live. Yeah,
I think it's probably way higher than that.
yeah, and
Oh,
there were
it's
You're
probably more. Yeah,
this girl was gang raped on Facebook Live. You guys heard
Wow.
that story, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it
No.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wasn't that one that one autistic kid who was kidnapped by a bunch of black people?
He didn't
Wasn't-
die though.
No, they didn't. He didn't die. They just tortured him for a couple
Right.
days.
Yeah, that was on Facebook, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's kind of funny how nobody people will get mad at I don't know 4chan or even YouTube, but Facebook doesn't get shit for that.
They're too big.
I think I'm not the type that frequents ogreish.com or anything, but I guess if a clip has enough notoriety, I will seek it out just to try to understand it, to try to personalize it and say, what were they thinking in this instance? What were their last moments like? Was what was warranted and what wasn't? What could they have done differently?
What site is this? You said it was ogreish.com?
that site's not up anymore. That's been gone for a while.
I never went there, but there were a lot of gore hounds that would go to those places to watch, like, I don't know, third world beheadings and all sorts of shit like that. Car crashes,
Right. Okay.
with actual footage of victims and all sorts of stuff like that. I never, frequented those, but if a clip has enough notoriety, I will seek it out just to understand it, how it fits into things, I guess.
Do you feel like you walk away with a deeper understanding?
A deeper appreciation for life.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
The value of someone's life,
Yeah.
and the value of people making choices, any choice other than ending your life,
Yeah.
or ending someone else's.
Well, it's interesting that we're specifically talking about suicide, because that is a very taboo subject, and I don't think that people understand what it's. I mean, I almost wonder too. I don't think that's what we're doing, but there is a kind of difference between talking about it and like there's a detachment from the way that we talk about it with the way that it like actually impacts people's lives. So with like my friend who I lost, like that subject was so taboo that like we couldn't even delve into like the reasons, and it was tragic, like because my thought was, anyway, I don't have to go into this. I just I thought of that because it's a hard subject to talk about. I
lost a friend to suicide too, right out of
really,
high.
yeah.
I think he was doing it to avoid a jail sentence, if I'm not mistaken. But I still think about that, and I don't know. I don't know why.
Well, it's just I don't think we understand it, because if like I don't think we understand it in the sense of like we might have like a revulsion to the violence, but we don't realize what drives someone to that point.
Mhm.
Because I mean, it's actually very hard to kill yourself. Like you can succeed, and it's kind of scary how likely it can be if you do try. But it's also like, what the heck is it? Like, how do you get in such a state? And like, I don't understand that.
The human body is resistant. Like.
Yeah.
It's not like in a horror movie where you get stabbed a few good times and then you just kind of collapse. No, the body, it does try to fight until the bitter end, and it can be very painful and agonizing because then you set up infections from it trying to get better. Yeah, it's the process of dying. Unless it was immediate, like immediate impact, or an explosion. It's very slow. And it's scary to think about that our bodies will all betray us. I think about that a lot sometimes.
What do you mean our bodies betray us? Sorry.
I was going to say, I heard that lonesome whistle blow. In Czech Polonek's The Invention of Sound, which I just recently finished reading, there is a part in there where...
Don't.
What?
I don't want to hear it.
I think it'll spoil.
Well, it's not a spoiler.
I don't want to hear it at all.
No, there's just a part in there that says it only takes one stab to get a scream, but it takes multiple to stop it, or something like that.
What book was it?
Invention of Sound.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were all supposed to be reading the Polonic book for the Polonic. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
Okay, how do you pronounce the C name in T.C. Boyle? I can't.
Corrigesson.
T what?
Corrigesson. Right.
You're just guessing. T what?
Corrigesson.
I don't even know what TC stands for.
T.C. Boyle.
It's like
Corrigesson.
I know who they are. I just don't know what TC stands for.
Yeah, it's like Corrigesson Voyle. I can't remember. What, something like that. I don't remember how to pronounce
Irish.
it.
Yeah.
I used to know how to pronounce it. Now I don't.
But I thought
you guys fucked it all up for me.
But I thought The Invention of Sound is one of his best recently.
Yeah, I'd like to read that. But I think for the Polonic reading thing, because everybody's reading their own Polonic book, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that. What?
Yeah, and you're the one that wanted everybody to do the book club thing, and then you pussy out.
Yeah.
Well, now it's just our reading schedules are different.
I'll admit, I actually forgot.
It's okay.
I'll probably read.
You're reading Snuff, Jeremy. What do you think of it so far?
Well, how do I say without spoil what I asked you in private? Remember?
Yeah.
Can I ask that without spoiling anything?
No.
I don't know.
Do you plan on reading stuff, Zachary?
Yeah, I actually plan on getting to all his books eventually.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I do. I've read Fight Club.
Read Invisible Monsters next. I think that's his best one.
I'm kind of hoping that the
That's
main
really good.
character of Snuff doesn't fuck the girl who's trying to break the world record for porn.
Gangbang.
In a porno. For reasons that involve a plot twist. So, and I don't know.
I mean, I think the biggest problem with Snuff is I've heard this criticism against some of his other books is like all the characters talk the same. It's like there's supposed to be multiple narrators, but they all talk the same.
Somebody also poses a very practical question in that book at some point, and again, I don't know if I can even deduce that without spoiling something. But are there any porn babies out there?
Yeah.
Well, then why is it when they asked that question in the plot, it seemed such a plausible question to ask?
Well, probably because we think that the porn industry takes enough precautions to keep it from happening, but no, it's happened.
Can you name a porn baby though?
They probably don't want their name out there.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Right.
Like
I was
all through
conceived
school.
on a porn set.
Yeah. Hey,
Instead of being
baby.
born in a hospital, you were born on the set of like
Right.
Deep Throat or something.
Probably like Shia
Porn
LaBeouf or
bot.
something like that would be one I would guess.
That would explain a lot.
I mean, imagine the poor kid in school. I saw your mom naked. Fuck you.
That's why
Your
that's
mom,
why. Well, that's why porn stars use why they use stage names.
Dirk
Makes sense.
Ziegler.
Yeah.
Your mom is a good lay. I know because I watched her video last night.
It's what's that? How do you? It's like your porn name is like maybe your first pet and the street you grew up on.
Really?
Yeah,
think that's-
Sparky Eagle.
That's yours.
I would be,
Yeah.
I would
Eagle?
be
Sparky
Rusty.
Eagle.
I would be Rusty Carter then.
That would be Bo Northwest.
That's actually pretty good.
What would yours be, Zach?
Yeah, it's Northwest. That's great.
Wait, my what? I kind of wasn't paying attention.
Your porn name is the name of your first pet and the street you grew up on.
Okay. I grew up on 2 streets, but I guess I'll have to say Misty Ramblin'.
Nice.
That's not a bad one. What would
Probably,
yours be,
that's
Phoenix?
actually probably a real one.
Midnight Old England.
He's got some
That would be
class.
classy one.
That
Yeah.
actually sounds plausible.
So Crusher of
mine
Cuts
would be-
besides, the obvious one. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was gonna say mine would be like Buffy Cicero, which almost sounds like a perfect porn name.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one.
These all sound like
Yeah.
porn names. Yeah.
Are you still there, Crusher?
Oh yeah, just listening. Yeah,
Yeah,
mine
what
would be
yours be?
Jack Dandridge.
What's that? Jack Umbridge?
No, Jack Dandridge.
Dandridge. Okay.
Yeah.
that one's you had the weakest one.
These all sound pretty plausible. Well, why do
Sparky
they all?
Eagle doesn't really.
Why do so many of them use the names Mackenzie and McGillicuddy? What are those like industry standard names or something?
McGillicuddy.
What the heck? I've never heard that before.
A bunch of porn stars use the names Mackenzie and McGillicuddy for some reason.
Are they Irish?
Kind of white trashy.
Mackenzie is like a first name.
Yeah.
Well, Mackenzie, that's just a name that just kind of evokes like a young girl.
What about
Like a-
McGillicuddy? What is the deal there?
I've never
Hey
heard
guys, I
of
don't
that
want
before.
to cut in, but I gotta head out.
Okay.
Just when it was
Wait, let's
in-
take him to the multiverse first.
No.
Dude.
No, the multiverse is destroyed. Remember, I
Hey,
destroyed it
thanks
with
for
my
coming,
mind.
Crusher.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Crusher.
Yeah.
Nice talking
This
to
Thanks
is
you.
for
how
coming.
you do it. Click on my share screen.
Dear God.
No, this is how we do it. Boom! There, the multiverse is dead. I killed it.
I'm telling you, you're not doing it right, though. I mean, you're sort of doing it right, but I think I have to screen share that now, right? I have to
Never
screen
go
share-
home again.
I have to screen share his screen share, I think. For it to work.
Do it, yeah.
Okay. There we go. Is that right?
Wait, now what?
Play a video. Right?
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Are we really doing this?
Yes, until we
Oh,
figure it
no.
out. We're gonna figure this
Oh
out.
God.
I'm with you, Gregor.
Yeah.
Wait a second. No, I know.
I do actually have to get going soon anyway.
Before you go, I have to tell you that, and this is just to be a jerk, so take it for what
Are
it's
y'all still
worth.
watching this? Can you see it?
I did not like the Talisman, Phoenix.
Really? Did you?
I
When
thought-
did you read it?
Oh, within the last 10 to 15 years, I think.
What was your reason?
I thought it was dull.
Really?
I was bored throughout most of it.
Well, that
And
makes me sad.
I think that it seemed like people, and this is just I don't remember a whole lot of details about it, but it seemed like people magicked their way out of problems rather than having a good, I don't know, problem solving or something. You know, it just seemed like, oh, we'll just magic our way out of this situation. But I could be wrong about that. But I think that's the impression I got. Does that criticism at all make any sense? That
It
somebody might be
does.
magicking their way out of something?
It does make sense, except for the idea that if Jack is the main character and he was experiencing all these losses, it's hard to imagine that just being like he just got through it, you know. So, for example, his friend Wolf dies. I hope this isn't a spoiler, but yeah. So Wolf dies, and he has to deal with that loss. And there's a scene at the end of the book that you might remember where he's driving home with This is after he completed the mission. He drives home with Wolf's brother, and then there's that scene where Wolf is crying, but you can't tell because the music is so loud. Like stuff like that. Maybe it's a little sentimental, but gosh, I'm totally on board with that because it's sad. And I feel like that was to me what I got out of the book, which is the theme of loss and pain and like not being able to overcome a lot of things, but then eventually you do if you keep trying.
Yeah.
I read that book as a kid, so I might have really, like as a young kid, like 12, so I might have really identified with Jack at that age, and then it just stuck with me. There
Yeah.
probably are better books than The Talisman, I would say. I mean, even though I haven't read it, Lord of the Rings probably holds up really well.
Yeah,
As
I've not read
fantasy.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I've
But
not
I
read
mean,
that.
but even with just thinking of the story, I think that would have more of a mass appeal.
Now,
But
have
yeah.
you read The Talisman more than once?
I read it twice, yeah. Although the first time I kind of skimmed through the end, I guess because I wanted to finish it. I don't remember the reason. But
And
then
the
I read it
second time,
again
how
just
old
a
were
few
you
months
then?
ago. Well, when I just reread it, this was literally just over quarantine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this was recent.
And
I mean-
you still like it quite a bit because it seems like
So-
you're exceedingly
yeah.
fond of that book.
I like it even more than when I first read it.
Okay.
Because I know what you mean. Some of the elements might be sentimental. Some of it might be.
Well, no, I never said anything was sentimental per
Not
se.
sentimental?
I was saying that
Okay.
people magicked themselves out of situations.
Do you have an example, though? And I know I'm not
No,
spoiling
I can't
all this.
remember too much about
Yeah.
it. Like I thought it was generally dull, and I think that I went to. I think I heard you talking about it at one point. I went to look up my review of it, and I think that's what my criticism was that but I don't
But you-
remember.
I mean, the
Yeah.
thing, though, is like you didn't have my motivation for reading it. Like for you, it was just another book.
Well,
'cause I
what was the
read books like-
motivation for you to read it?
Oh, for me, I wanted to recover. So it's really complicated. And there's a lot to unpack. Maybe we can do that in another episode. But at least for the short term, I wanted that experience of like feeling like there was a really rich meaning to life. And when I read that book, like it was weird how like everything seemed magical at the time, which is like, so the idea is like, well, Stephen King is art or not art, whatever. To me, it was art. And one of the reasons why you could say that is because it wasn't like I was reading Joyce where I felt like I was reading something I had to read. It was like I was reading this because I really liked it. And I admitted that I liked it. And it was kind of like a revisitation of something that I think influenced me in a lot of profound ways. My first novel, Away from Home, basically follows the premise of The Talisman in the sense that you have this character, Samuel Callan, and this book isn't published yet, but you have
Right.
Samuel Callan who walks across the United States, and he flips in and out of this other world called the Common Ground. I mean, that totally is Stephen King. That's totally the Talisman.
Right.
And different characters, but then there's a stand-in. There's a character named Albino, which is like a horse, kind of like horse figure, horse human. And he is similar to Wolf in terms of having different villains. That definitely reminds me of the alternating villains of Sloat and I can't remember the other one, but I think Morgan. No, that is the same character, but I can't remember the other character. But yeah, so it was cool. It was cool to kind of, and then I realized that book even influenced my novel, which came later, but for different reasons. Contorted Royal, which had kind of the tongue-in-cheek with like playing cards, and so the idea of cards really like, and I don't make the exact correlation, but like just thinking of cards and like how that can be like this magical thing. Now that I don't think there are actually cards in the Talisman, but it was just like I made a whole bunch of associations when I was 21, and in that sense, because of the Talisman and how much it influenced me, it was really weird how fantasy kind of blurred with reality at that time. Like my whole reality was like filtered through the lens of the books I was reading and had really enjoyed and had read. Harry Potter would be another influence, in that sense. But yeah, there were and Teen Wolf. There were just a lot of different things at that time.
Did you say Teen Wolf?
Yeah, Teen Wolf, not the movie, but the show. Yeah.
I've never seen the show.
So basically, but the point is like you didn't have that backstory when you were reading it. Like,
no, I just wanted to see what it was like. Yeah. I mean, and I hear Black House is better. Is my
so I didn't like Black House though. Yeah,
really?
I read it. I could read it again, but I didn't like it. Yeah.
Huh.
And it might have been the time in my life that I read it, but I just didn't think that it competed with the Talisman. Because some people do really like Black House because it ties into Dark Tower, and then a lot of people really like Dark Tower. But I think the Talisman, with all of the things that they did in that book, I've just never seen another book do that. And I know that's a subjective opinion, but that's what it feels like to me.
Right. So have you read the Dark Tower?
I read the 5th book and I read the 1st book. I tried reading the 2nd. So obviously I haven't read it in order, but I just think the Dark Tower is too long for a lot of the stuff I've been trying to read.
I think the Dark Tower series is beautiful, and it is about all stories, really. It's not just about one story.
Well, yeah, I mean, with your vanities thing, I can understand why you would like it. Yeah,
I think that's kind of what planted the seed for that. It's like, yeah. There are a lot of stories now that deal with this kind of overarching like hierarchy of characters and stories in multiple universes. A lot of people are doing that thing now, but I think Stephen King was doing it with Dark Tower before anybody. So.
Well, Stephen King, even more than the Dark Tower, it's this whole avoir. I mean, it's all connected in this really intricate way.
Right.
So I don't. Yeah, I just don't know writers who do that. I guess they're doing it now, as you said, Jeremy. But yeah,
right.
I mean.
Okay, yeah. I'll show them. I'll show them to you later. I've actually picked up a lot of newer books that deal with that same thing in different ways, and it's like it was just a grab bag of a bunch of them off Amazon recently. A lot of authors are doing that right now because it makes the most sense. See, this is my problem with apocalyptic fiction, is that there's only one way for the world to be, and that's not how the world is. You know, the world, there's constantly things ending and beginning again. Apocalypse, it's just one flat ending for everybody, and then the after effects for what if they try to carry on. That's just not. There's constantly building up and breaking down in real stories, and that's why I like the multiversal approach to storytelling.
It is a wonderful idea. I mean, in an indirect way, that's influenced a lot of the books in that series that I wrote that I was talking about other episodes, you know, and the Dark Kid is part of that. In fact, the Dark Kid, I mean, this is how deeply it influenced is the Dark Kid is influenced by Jack Sawyer from the Talisman. And I think at least with my books that I was trying to capture this intricate, and I did it differently. It's not that it's all connected necessarily in some ways, but you get these characters and you get these different points of view, and you can have this, like, so I mean the best analogy would be like when Stephen King writes a book from a certain character's perspective, and then he'll write from another perspective, and it's still in that world, but it's a different perspective. I feel like he did that at one point.
He did, and a lot of times
Yeah.
the character would never. They would die shortly afterward. He was just kind of giving a brief little glimpse into their, and then others he would come back to over and over. But sometimes he would take the point of view of a character that never appeared again, or they died in that very scene. But
and that's so intricate. Like I think that's really hard to do. And maybe the reason why I like the Talisman, maybe even more than the Dark Tower, even though I haven't read the whole thing, is just in the sense that I think he took the best of both worlds. I think he took the best of like the escapism, the beauty of fantasy, and all of these like more speculative genres, and then and it's overlaid because it does reference some of his other books and it references his themes and things. So it's complicated in that way. Yet it's not so long that like you can't read it at a certain period of time without getting overwhelmed. And so it's like this compact way of capturing everything would probably be the best way that I would describe it, and that's why it really appealed to me. So
I thought it was too long.
You really thought it was too long?
Yeah,
Because it's not as long as the Dark Tower.
I thought it was about 100 pages too long.
Yeah,
but I read the Dark Tower series, but I also read that over.
Did you? But
decades,
did you not identify with Jack Sawyer's character then?
I mean, not really. The book overall just left me with a very bland feeling. It was all very bland. I mean, there were some good parts, here and there, I think, but I don't really remember hardly anything about it other than I thought it was bland and I was bored and it was too long. Yeah.
So did any of the scenes stand out?
No, not really. No, I can't. I can think of like some scene where he's trying to sneak through some sort of a castle or something. That's all I can really even remember.
That was probably the end. Yeah, that was probably at the end.
Yeah,
well,
but the thing is, I mean, it doesn't mean anything that I didn't like it, right? I mean, it's just interesting that you liked it so much, and I felt so.
Underwhelmed.
So underwhelmed by it.
I think Salem's Lot was the most boring King book I've ever read.
See, I really like that one a lot.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, you also like the freaking Joe Hill book Nosferatu. I couldn't.
I haven't read it.
Yeah, I think you're saying I do. I like that book a lot. I like the Nosferatu.
I just find it interesting that like you didn't like none of the scenes gravitated towards you, because I feel like I have a photographic memory of that book. Like I remember scenes that I read like 20 years ago. Like it's that's how like entrenched it is. And it may just be that weird subjective quirk of just readers and reading, where like
certain books hit at a certain time. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing, like.
Well, and even just the fact that some people like books and a certain book and other people don't,